Welcome to the topic on HCC TV. I'm Todd Duplantis. Great show coming up for you. We're talking about the fall semester. We've had to make some changes, but first I want to remind those who are watching us on HCC TV, you can download audio versions of this show as a podcast as hccs.edu/podcast. So go there, download all of our shows. Make sure you follow us in social media and jump on over to YouTube, find Houston Community College and subscribe to our channel. You can get notifications whenever we have new shows just like these. On today's show, we're going to be talking about our fall semester. You know, we've been doing things differently going back all the way to March. It's been over 6 months, and in many cases, many students have not yet returned to campuses until just recently. A lot of students are returned on October the 5th for the lab-based courses. So how is that working so far? We're joined now by Dr. Norma Perez, Vice Chancellor for Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer, to shed some more light on this subject. Dr. Perez, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So I know over the summer, some changes were announced on 4 ways we were delivering classes, or we intend to deliver classes. Let's describe the adjustment of what happens to the Flex Campus option to go fully online. Why was that decision made?
Well, Todd, you know, the intention was to begin to offer our Flex Campus courses as of October the 5th on campus. And however, we made a decision to change that. And one of the major reasons for that was because of the number of students we were going to have on campus. We were talking about possibly having over close to 2,500 sections. And so we felt that would be a lot of students to have at any given time. So we also made some decisions about bringing on some services, which we'll discuss later in this segment. But more importantly, it was we knew that when we created the fall schedule, we created it in a way that we knew that we can ultimately make decisions very quickly and not have a major impact on instruction. So we knew that if we kept the Flex Campus online and did not bring them on campus, we knew that it was not going to affect instruction because our faculty were already prepared for that decision to be made if in fact we ended up making that decision. And of course we did.
And those students were already taking a class, I think it was called Online on a Schedule. So that was able to continue. So the students' learning wasn't interrupted. Is that correct?
That is correct. And again, all of the classes that were created under Flex Campus were classes that could be offered online, totally online. So we knew it was not going to impact instruction in any way whatsoever. Now the courses that we couldn't change were the courses that require the skills lab or some of our science labs. And so those we could not alter, and we did allow those students to come back as of Monday, October the 5th.
What is the reaction you've been getting from students, and how have they been adjusting to the pivot of going fully online when some of them may have thought they might have gotten into a class in person?
Well, I think the responses we've received has been both positive, and then of course some of our students were disappointed that they were not able to come on campus. They had anticipated coming on campus. However, they've made those adjustments. And then of course, there's all those students who were happy with the decision because they were not prepared to come on campus at this time. And
the lab-based courses, as mentioned you just a few minutes ago, they started the lab-based sections or the lab sections on campus in very limited fashion. There are some safety protocols that students, faculty, and staff, those who are on campus, have to follow. Maybe you can talk about those a bit.
All of the students that report to campus have to conduct a pre-screening, and the pre-screening can be done prior to coming on campus. That will ask them a series of questions following the CDC guidelines in terms of whether they've been near anyone that has been that tested positive for COVID. You know, they take their temperature, determine whether they're safe to come on campus. And so once they complete that questionnaire will clear them. And then if they're clear to come on campus, they're given a code to be able to show at the front door of the campus to where they're going to report to allow access to the facility. Once they get into the facility, you know, of course, all students are being informed that they must bring their masks. They must wear their mask during the whole time that they are in the facility and that they're in a classroom. If for some reason the student forgets his mask, HCC will provide them a mask for them to enter the facility. And then they will have access to gloves. They have access to the hand sanitizer. In our labs that deal with science, in the science labs, they also will have access to face shields, and again gloves, and the hand sanitizer that's provided within the lab itself. And there's also in the teaching station for the faculty, there's a plexiglass so that students feel comfortable coming up to the professor to talk to them or ask questions after or before class.
Now, faculty had to do a lot of ramping up back in March, where we went away for spring break, and then they had to ramp up to be ready to deliver instruction online. Now, many have been returning to campuses to teach the lab-based sections of the courses. What's the feedback you've been getting from faculty so far over the last 6 months, and especially now that some are returning?
There was a lot of nervousness. You know, I must be honest with you. Excuse me. A lot of our faculty were nervous about coming back on campus. But then there were also those faculty that were anxious to get back on campus. They felt that they were better at teaching face-to-face instruction than they were teaching online. They felt that the material that they were trying to get across to student was better done in a face-to-face setting. So we had them for both sides. And so, you know, one of the things that we try to do is assure our faculty, our staff, and our students that HCC has always kept their safety as our #1 priority. We wouldn't put them in a situation where we felt that we had not done the things that we needed to do to ensure their safety. Interesting enough, the comments that I have received as of yesterday, which was again our first day of class, they've all been positive. Faculty have been very excited about being back on campus. The students were very excited about being on campus. And in fact, one professor described it as of going to school for the first time, for the first day of school, that she was so excited, couldn't wait to get here. And when she got here, she found that the students were feeling the same way. So far, the responses have been positive. I'm happy to hear that. And again, we continue to assure our faculty, staff, and students that we will continue to provide all of the safety precautions that are necessary to keep us all safe.
I know over the last 6 months, you guys have provided a lot of resources for faculty with the faculty lounge and things along those lines. Are they still available for faculty who have questions, and is that still up and going?
Yes, it is. And absolutely, we continue to provide faculty with the support. You know, many of our faculty transition, as you indicated earlier in the segment, that this was our first time on online using online instruction. And so there's still that ongoing need. And so we continue to provide training. More recently, we're going to provide training on how to conduct classes with Flex Campus. As you know, the Flex Campus model really entails teaching 2 classes at the same time, one face-to-face and the other online, because you have your class that is unable to attend campus will be attending class virtually. So we want to go over some teaching strategies that will assist the faculty member in keeping the students engaged, both those in face-to-face as well as those virtually. So we will start that training the week of October the 8th, 19th, and then we'll continue to do that until probably late November. And by then we hope to have all of our faculty trained to be able to handle the Flex Campus model.
We're very excited about that because I know you've got some new equipment going into classrooms with special cameras that the teachers can use and the instructors can get the lesson plan out there. We're going to talk more about that later in the show. We talked about faculty resources that are available. There are a number of resources that are available on campuses for our students in a limited fashion. We'll talk with student services coming up, and we'll have more with Dr. Perez here on the topic. Stay tuned.
The census, when counting everyone in your home, helps support your neighborhood for the next 10 years.
Let's go home and count Papi!
Make your family count!
The census helps fund schools, healthcare, and more. Visit 2020census.gov.
College is on at HCC. Whether you choose to learn online, on campus, or both, HCC offers a safe, flexible, affordable college experience. Register now at hccs.edu/college your way.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We are talking about the fall semester here at HCC. You might have noticed we're doing things a different way. Some of our students have returned to campuses on October the 5th for lab-based courses. Of course, on campuses, there are a number of services available to our students. And we've got two guests that are joining us today. Of course, Dr. Norma Perez, Vice Chancellor for Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer here at HCC. And we're now joined by Indra Paola. She is the Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management. Welcome to the show, Indra.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Perez had mentioned this earlier in the last segment, and we've talked about it, but having a number of students back on campus, even in a limited fashion, we still need support services for those students. Some of them have returned to campuses. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that.
Absolutely. So our goal is to have 3 phases to have our student support services on campus. The first one was our testing services. We went back on September 28th to provide students the ability to take the placement test at one of our locations. On October the 5th, we had financial aid, enrollment services, advising, cashiers, counseling, and career services come to our locations that are available for our students. And we continue to provide those services online as well. So students who are not comfortable coming in person, they can also take advantage of the services that we have available online.
Speaking of online, you guys over the summer established a virtual waiting room, which I know has been very popular. And you've fielded, I want to say, would it be safe to say more than 1,000 questions, maybe thousands of questions through that virtual waiting room?
Absolutely. Our virtual lobby went live first in March, and we had some lessons learned. We learned that we had a lot of students asking different questions. So we added the Zoom lobby as well, where students had the ability to talk to somebody while they were waiting for, to be serviced. Some students prefer to do phone calls, so we accommodate phone calls. And we just went live with our revised version of our chat beacon, so students can chat with our customer services as well. So we're happy to provide different modalities to service our students via, the Zoom lobby, virtual lobby, through email, and of course, in person for those who want to come see us in person.
Dr. Perez, I know over the summer you worked with the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Kurt Hewen, on the task force to decide how these operations would happen when we start bringing people back. I would imagine it was very important when we decided to bring students back, even limited amount of students, to have those support services available for the students if they're going to be on the campuses.
And that is correct. And as a matter of fact, we were also bringing on campus the week of the 26th, is we're bringing on board some academic support. As you know, we've been providing online tutoring services. We have an online tutoring service that was already being provided for our online students. We added that. We added the additional service of online tutoring. We added the virtual tutoring center to replace the on-campus learning centers that we had throughout HCC. So we've been offering these services to the students. So on the 26th, we're going to open up some learning centers on our facilities. We're also looking at providing students the opportunity to have what we're calling a quiet space. For students to come in that can't work from home and really need some study time away from the family. They may need some Wi-Fi access. So for those students, they can bring their laptop if they have one. If not, we'll have some laptops, we'll have some computers available for them to use while they're on campus. So again, we're opening some of those at our locations as well to provide them those services. That we will continue to provide the virtual tutoring as well as the on-campus tutoring. And we're also going to provide some limited library services. We've already been providing library services virtually, but let's say that a student has a laptop that they wish to return, they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to, we also have some limited laptops that they can check out. They'll be able to do that as well. So the idea is to provide as many support services as we can on campus, but at the same time, continue those services virtually.
Dr. Perez, I know we had Dr. Ewan on our show a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the surveys you did with, your group did with students over the summer. And one of the things he said you'll learn is that students have a lot of times their family home who are working remotely, and their children who are studying and doing their instruction online. And one of the things that students really needed was this quiet space where they had connectivity, strong internet connection, but also quiet time in a place where they could social distance to get their studies in. And I imagine that's in response to establishing this quiet space that's available at our campuses.
That is correct, as well as again, bringing students on campus. Students were asking for that. And so we wanted to ensure that we were providing those services as best as we could once we had our plan in terms of how do we do that. And as Indra indicated, we did it in phases, and we'll continue to do in phases, and we'll see how things progress going forward.
And you also, Dr. Perez, mentioned the tutoring services, and I don't think we could mention this enough, that tutoring is available to all HCC students, and they can find that on our website. And even if they can't make it in person, they can still take do their tutoring online. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have a tutoring service where there's the virtual contact, the call center. They call there, they can set up an appointment to meet with a tutor, and it's done virtually, where they go over those particular assignments. We also have the tutoring service that's done with online, which is called Upswing. And those basically are done asynchronous. At any time, a student can access that site to obtain any kind of tutorial services they may need at any given time.
Indra, I want to ask you, I know we've been only doing this for a few days with people back on campuses to work with students, but what is some of the reaction you've heard? I know your staff is there to help students, and in the past, they used to working with those students face to face. We had to go into a virtual world for several months, but now some of them are getting back onto the campuses to work with those students one-on-one. What has been their reaction that you've heard?
As far as the staff, at first they were cautious. They wanted to make sure that they had the PPE provided, that there were going to be social distancing guidelines followed. And now that we are back on campus, they're excited to see a slow trickling of our students. We want to make sure that our students feel comfortable when they come in person. And we also remind them the day before their appointment that they have an appointment coming up, and we remind them what they need to bring on campus so that they don't waste, a 30-minute drive plus the 15 minutes extra that they need to come in. So students, when they know what they need to bring or that they can do their changes online, sometimes they change their mind. So there's still students taking advantage of the online services, and there's some that are coming in person.
And I know, Indra, real quickly, there's been some concern by students, well, like, I need to drop these physical documents off at HCC so that I can move on maybe for the spring semester, but they need these documents there. But you guys kind of solve this problem too, because you have drop-off points available.
Absolutely. We have the drop-off mailboxes available for our students, and that is particularly helpful for students that are submitting financial aid documentation. From the admissions point of view, we have a lot of information available online where students can upload their own documents and send it to us, so they don't need to even drive to any of those locations, so that it's minimized the number of students that need to come in person.
Stand by, Indra. We're going to have more with you, and Dr. Perez, stay on board because we'll be bringing you back in the next segment as well. We want you to join us. We're talking about the fall semester, but hey, we're already in October. Spring is not that far away. When we come back on the topic, we'll discuss with students, parents, faculty, and staff need to know about the upcoming spring semester. Stay tuned to the topic.
There's no better place to knock out the basics than HCC. Whether you learn online, on campus, or both, HCC is the safe, flexible, affordable option. Register now at hccs.edu/college your way.
A natural disaster may force you to evacuate, and the coronavirus could impact your emergency plans. So take steps now to help your family and community prepare. Keep a supply kit stocked with cloth face coverings, disinfecting supplies, and hand sanitizers. Check with local officials about what shelter spaces will be open during quarantine efforts. And remember to review the CDC's guidelines with the whole family. Disasters won't wait. Neither should you. Visit ready.gov/plan to make a plan today.
Houston Community College is safe, clean, and open for learning. We're sanitizing our classrooms and reducing class sizes so you can feel good when you come back. Register now at hccs.edu/college your way.
Welcome back to The Topic on HCC TV. I'm Todd Duplantis. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Jump on over to youtube.com. Subscribe to Houston Community College. Our channel will bring you all the updates with all of our shows, including shows just like this one. We're talking about the fall semester here at Houston Community College, and spring is right around the corner. We're joined today by Dr. Norma Perez, the Vice Chancellor for Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer here at HCC, and Indra Paola, who is the Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management. Ladies, thanks again for joining us on the show. We've been talking about the fall semester. Before we get to spring, I'm going to ask both of you the same question. Do you have advice for students right now who are trying to navigate their way through the semester? We've only got a few months left. Dr. Perez, what quick advice would you give to some of our students?
I think the best advice I can give our students is that communicate. And I mean, communicate with your professor. I know that right now everyone is experiencing different situations, and the only way that a faculty member can assist you is by you letting the faculty member know what's going on and what kind of assistance can you need. What limitations do you have at home, so that together both the student and the professor can solve that issue for them before they get into trouble.
And Indra, from a student services standpoint, what advice do you have for our students?
I want to make sure that our students communicate as well with us, particularly with their academic advisor, because they're the ones that are going to be able to connect them with different support services. If they're having issues with any technology resources, or they're having error messages, having a screenshot of those error messages is helpful. So when they call our office, we're able to assist them. So, you know, screenshot of error messages, communicate with us. Don't wait till the last minute, because if you have a question, please, you know, reach out to us so that we can get the support that you need.
Speaking of waiting to the last minute, spring semester is not that far away. If someone's watching this show and they say, well, you know what, I'm going to sign up for the spring. I've got time. I may be looking for financial aid. What advice do you have for them now? Because it's really not that far away.
Absolutely. Registration opens November the 2nd. So we are right on time to start planning for spring. Classes begin January 16th for regular term, and the second start will be beginning on February 16th. So start, if you're a brand new student, start by submitting an admissions application and all the required checklist items. Complete those checklist items. And then if you have any challenges with any of those checklist items, we have developed how-to videos so that you can navigate the system. We have how-to job aids as well in the Student Center. Most of them are in English. We have some in Spanish. We're continuously adding job aids to help our students. And apply for financial aid if you haven't done so. So apply for financial aid, submit your admissions application, and register. If you're a returning student and you are currently enrolled this semester, meet with your advisor to make sure that you are on track. If the spring 2021 is your last semester, you want to make sure that you're taking the correct classes. If you're planning to transfer to a four-year institution after spring 2021, you want to make sure that the classes that you take in spring are the correct sequence. So communicate with your advisor, communicate with the admissions office so we can assist you in the process. And of course, financial aid, make sure that you secure that financial aid application. If you're obtaining a scholarship, also let us know so that we can communicate with the business office so that that information is part of the student record.
Well, I heard one word pop up between both of you, and it was the word communicate. And you need to communicate with your instructor, communicate with student services. I guess the key word, Dr. Perez, don't assume something's going to happen. Make sure you take the action so that your professor or student services knows about it.
That's correct. And it's all about not waiting to the last minute, just like my colleague mentioned. Do not wait to the last minute. Students have a tendency to wait and wait and wait. And by the time they contact anyone, it's virtually too late.
Dr. Perez, I know over the summer we announced the 4 learning modalities that we're moving forward with, and we've had to make a few adjustments. How are we preparing for the spring? And students may be wondering, what can I expect for the spring? From your standpoint, where we are now, what can you tell them?
I can tell them that we're going to use the same 4 modalities. We are going to start the semester with a Flex Campus, the online anytime, online on a schedule, and then of course our lab courses on campus. The difference between the fall and the spring is that we're anticipating that in the spring, we're going to start the on-campus classes as soon as we begin the semester. So we're not going to delay it as we did in the fall. We feel that by having the experience of bringing in students the fall semester, we should be more than prepared to receive our students beginning the spring semester. One
thing I imagine, though, Dr. Perez, is we all have to be flexible. We've learned that a lot over these last 6 months. That should situations change, we all have to be flexible in how we battle COVID right now.
That is correct, and again, that's the reason why we're offering the schedule that we're offering. Every one of those modalities is flexible enough to make whatever changes we need to make. The only courses that would be a little difficult are the ones that really require the skills lab for our workforce programs. Even our science labs, we are offering them both online on a schedule, online anytime, and we're also giving students the option to take them on campus, which is what we did this fall semester. So the options are for the student, and I know that in many cases they're not going to know what's going to happen in the future for them. So the idea is to provide them the different choices for them to be able to make, knowing their situation now, and really trying to do what all of us are doing, trying to guess what's it going to be like in the future, and trying to make the best decisions we can with the information that we currently have.
Absolutely. Indra, I want to ask you real quickly, students still have questions. Is the best way to go to the virtual lobby? Is that the best place to start? Where should they start if they've got a question involving student services?
They can use the virtual lobby. They can use the chat room. We have social media. We have COVID-19 resource page. So they have multiple avenues that they can reach out to us. If they're external students, they can join one of our virtual open house events. So it depends where the students are. We welcome the feedback. They can always call us at the 713-718-2000 line, whatever is more comfortable. Some students prefer the phone call. Some students prefer, the electronic communication. So we're here to assist them through the virtual lobby, through Zoom, through phone call, through chat, and through social media.
We've been speaking today with Indra Paola. She is the Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management here at HCC. Thanks for joining us today, Indra. And also thank you, Dr. Norma Perez, our Vice Chancellor for Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer. Thanks to you both for being here. Good luck with the rest of the semester, and we look forward to the spring. And thank you for joining me today on the topic. Remember, jump on over to our YouTube channel, follow us in social media, subscribe to YouTube, and most importantly, I'll see you next week right here on the topic.